So I've definitely been in the lab, guys, and one of the other new ideas I've had for Infernoids is maybe to put in a hero engine, activate a hero live, special summon Stratos, and then be able to add a card like Adjusted Gold, which can basically grab you a Dark Fusion. A Dark Fusion basically can work directly into the Infernoid deck because, well, let's face it, the new Fusion is a Fiend monster, obviously. I'm just gonna say that's pretty strong to not have a normal summon, and then also mixing in Prisma to be able to copy Tierra. It's just interesting. But let's get into the rest of the video, shall we? I mean, Void Blaze Up is an extraordinarily powerful card, and I really like it. It basically says reveal one Infernoid monster or one Void spell or trap card in your hand is cost, and then discard your hand, and then draw the same number of cards. It's basically card destruction if you have an Infernoid in your hand, or a Void spell or trap. I like this a lot, simply because I feel like anything that you open at any time in this deck has always been a -1. And now it definitely has a lot of pluses by being able to minus so hard, especially with stuff like Diabell Star, the Snake Eye engine, and still having stuff like Lair to be able to kind of even the game back out. And then power fusion spells and power trap cards that are just simply the most powerful cards in the game. But to get into this card, which is the new Void card, I just feel like this card is nuts. But it's going to be interesting to see just how it fits, because in all of my testing, the versions that feature this card, they're probably better off maybe being just Dark World straight out. You're just better off playing Dark World or just playing Infernoids in its own lane. I just don't think they mix the best, but I just wanted to show a little bit and then really talk about something that actually is really, really busted. Anyways, that's enough of me talking. Let's get into it. Basically, guys, starting off, you would hopefully with a hand like this is just example hand. I'd literally pick the hand at random, normal summon Decatron, send Deviati. That I would always try to block Nib, block Ash, block certain stuff that you don't want to get cracked, like Ash Blossom would really, really hurt. Then activating Dark Corridor. If you're playing the Dark World version, I feel like this is probably the usual line of play you want to go for, is Dark Corridor, get Jinta in your hand. Basically after that, discarding the card, pardon me. You're adding a Dark World when you activate Dark Corridor, but you're also pitching the card that you draw, or pitching any card that you're just getting to pitch cards that are discarding, and the Infernoids are blank anyway. So it's like even if you semi quote unquote brick, you still don't care because it's ghost card advantage. Anyways, have to talk a little bit about this stuff just because Dark World is a really, really powerful deck and a really annoying deck to a lot of people. But this is just combos that I feel like I don't know if it's going to be better off than you just playing Dark World or just playing Infernoids. Getting into the gates of the Dark World with the Jinta, then activating the gates of the Dark World, banishing the Jinta. I don't know what in the world happened there. And then pitching a Fiend out of your hand. I picked a Lucent just because I feel like just having a special summon that's just free like that, and then being able to just maybe get Fiends out of your deck if something just happens to go randomly weird, or you're playing a mirror or something awkward like that. This is just a good solid target that I feel like is just good because of obviously the other big guy that came out not too long ago. Rainbow is a really, really stupid card. Anyways, you draw a card after that, and then you would special summon the Lucent. That's what I'm using it for in this specific scenario. And also you're getting the Jinta back because you banished it, and it special summons itself. So that's bodies. Then from there you'd probably be bouncing the, I'm not a Dark World player, so forgive me if I feel like if I'm messing anything up, literally tell me in the comments. But Rainbow coming back onto the field, the usual type of combo. And then from there pitching the Jinta again that you loop back in your hand to get another gates, to get another banish. But instead I feel like this is probably, you want this to be Hita. Let's say they asked you, this could be Hita right here. I feel like you would want to get to this, but then again, you took the Decatron off the field, which is weird. You might just want to leave the Decatron there for the Deviati and try to go for other stuff. But I wanted to get the levels off of the field, sort of, in a way. But I just wanted to keep continuing with the combos. And you can definitely continue it and keep the Deviati up as the block for Nibiru. I know I'm talking really, really fast and there's a lot going on, but this is just trying to really search whether this deck is worth mixing the two, because whenever you mix two decks, they have to mesh well, guys. Just trust me. Anyways, from there, I try to continue on. If you're going for the Void at some point,
I definitely feel like you want to time it when you get these in your hand so you can just keep plussing off of it. I think right here you just pitch the 3. Sometimes you can hold the Void Blaze up because that effect is not once per turn to keep discarding. So you may want to set one and then draw it. Like it just depends on literally what your hand is, which is why it's hard to show combos with this. But I just wanted to show how you can sort of start to mess around. Obviously, you get to special summon out again the Lucent. That's not once per turn either. Just like all of the Dark World stuff, that's always annoying. And then from there, banishing gates, pitching the Grapha, and then drawing into the really powerful engine that might not necessarily need to be in this version, but that's another body on the field. So this is basically, I feel like I can keep going and going. I could obviously change a lot of this because I could go into the deck. I could draw off of one of those draws, draw a fusion spell to get a session, to get the fusion on the field, and then that adds to your end board. So I really feel like it's so various that who knows what the really, really most correct thing to do is. But obviously being able to basically get Diabell Star to then get another body, and then eventually get into Infernoid Flood as the part of your inboard, probably with the Dark World Fusion somewhere on the field, probably with a Muckracker that is just a pain in the ass and a really, really powerful card in Infernoids. Guys, this deck is real. This deck is real. I just don't know if this is the best version. It may be that just Infernoids kind of takes over like it did back in YCS Denver days, where it was just the best deck because Grass was out and then you had Zoo. And if you weren't playing Fusion Sub, you were playing Infernoids. Moving on, I just wanted to quickly touch on just random stuff like other Fiend-centric decks that could help with the Infernoid archetype. This is actually an old build of an old deck. I literally just put Void Blaze up in the deck, and I just wanted to show off that, hey, pitching Seer and Graph for free, pitching a Burning Abyss for free, it's interesting. Now, you have to definitely be careful in this deck with setting spells and traps. Obviously, you don't want to mess yourself up. But also, you will have power spells and traps in the form of a card like Void Imagination because you're playing Infernoids as well. So you'd have to be careful to set, right? And you'd probably want that extra card in your hand. So I'd probably keep it in my hand and just lose that card too. Get the 4th card. And then from there, you literally just pitched Graph and Seer. Obviously, you're looking out for Ash and for Ghost Bell, whichever one you actually fear that they would have in their hand. You chain block them in the reverse direction, float into a Libic probably, overlay into a Dante. You could normal summon the Decatron there, or you could go right. I feel like you could, if you wanted to go to get the Diviati to block this, sure, if you're that worried about it. But milling the 3, and then Libic effect to special summon the Farfa. So that means that doesn't die when you do that. So it's like you can still get there. So again, you could probably do that right before you activate Dante and do all that. But just having certain stuff, a starting hand like you just had with the Graph and the Seer, like that's cool. I don't know if that's the best, but you definitely have seen Burning Abyss Infernoid decks win before. And now they have a really, really powerful card destruction effect that can basically help you to float into the Burning Abysses by themselves and get Beatrice probably set up off of this card itself. And that's not even mentioning putting banished Infernoids with different names back into the graveyard, which is really, really stupid when you banish it. And it will be in the graveyard to be banished because you're playing Dante. And being able to do the natural combo of just floating into a rank 2, a link 2 like IP Masquerena. All this stuff is just really, really interesting, guys. Now that's enough of that. I wanted to touch on what I feel like is the meat and potatoes of pretty much all of this new stuff. Void Barrier is a really, really interesting card. I just don't ever see it being like more than a 1 or maybe a 2 of, because it's basically all just basing itself around attack boosts, which just don't matter because all of your monsters are already big and can OTK on their own. But the other effect says add one of your banished Infernoid monsters to your hand, or special summon an Infernoid from your hand, ignoring the summon conditions, which is really, really, really good. Don't necessarily know if that's going to be earth shattering, but it definitely is. It probably has a small spot in the deck. I'd probably say it's a 1 of or a none of, kind of like the other Void cards most of the time end up being. So again, you can basically start off with that. Card Destruction, I'm just a fan of the card because I actually play it and you can thrust into it. And I actually played it in Infernoids and it always devastated people because they would search stuff or they would have small world stuff. They would just have something set up in their hand and Card Destruction would almost ruin their day, or they would waste an ash on it, which I didn't mind because, again, Infernoids didn't matter. But now that you have the mixes of other decks, you may want to mix it in as the 4th copy of Void Blaze Up. Some of the other stuff that I feel like is the most important, in case you didn't see the video the other day, I mentioned that there's stuff that I'm really messing with that I'm like, okay, this is silly, but I got to keep this on the low. I don't keep anything on the low. I'm for the people. A Hero Lives, I think, is a really, really, really interesting thing. Basically, heroic Infernoid. Hero Infernoids, I guess. Prisma can basically be Tierra, which I find interesting because being able to send a Deviati maybe to the graveyard and it be an Infernoid name after that can really, really play into something like only needing 2 Infernoid monsters. And if he's an Infernoid, well, boom, there you go. Now, obviously, you're mixing in the hero stuff, or you're mixing in something crazy like the tier stuff. I can see a version playing a lot of this stuff all together in one mashed up crazy ass deck, or just flat out being able to pitch a card like King of the Swamp to be able to search a polymerization and then basically fuse Infernoids anytime you want to. More access to evil, which I feel like is the best part of this support, is why I'm saying all this. So in ending, guys, I just wanted to say I have talked so much because there is so much to cover, and I really, really like what this support is. I'm probably sticking to this version just because I feel like it's the best right now, and I'm still messing around with stuff. That's why you see a lot of this crazy stuff down here. But that's besides the point. Make sure you pick up Flame Tongues when they come out. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you for tuning in. Pegasus is out. Don't forget to add layer to this. I'm out. Arrivederci.